In playoff position, Kansas City now looking ahead to back-to-back road games against the Dolphins and the Saints. So listen, here's the thing. They are the defending Super Bowl champs. They've been unbelievable. They have Pactrick Mahomes. They have all these weapons. But Marcus, is there any concern when you see that this Chiefs team is playing such close games in recent weeks?
Not a one damn concern, else, because they win them all. Listen, this could be an issue. We can create problems for the Kansas City Chiefs. People have to remember, look, this is the NFL. Like, this team is getting everybody's A game, and they still continue to figure things out. The one loss they had, the team put 40, right? Now, if you was to ask me about a legit concern for the Kansas City Chiefs, is that at times this defense has looked like they can be had in certain moments throughout this season. But nobody is worried about the damn Kansas City Chiefs. We'll start talking about them in February when they get to the Super Bowl. The bottom line is they win close games. They are the team everybody fears in close games. And they have the one player that when you know if he has the damn ball, you gonna lose a close game. So no, I have not one concern, not one iota about the Kansas City Chiefs.
Only concern I would even have about them is if they see the Raiders in the playoffs. That's the only concern because the Raiders play them well. Other than that, no major concerns. Go back to last year and think about all the conversation about the concerns. You talk about, I did a Dan. I wrote down some stuff, Dan.
Oh, let's go. Let's go, Key.
He
pulled it, Dan. He took notes.
Yeah,
Hey.
I did a Dan. Y'all making me laugh too much right now. But 5 games last year.
Okay.
6 or fewer points. This year, 5 games, 6 or fewer points. And then I look at it, this year, 7 or more, a touchdown or more, 6. Last year, 9. Those are the wins for them. Those are all close games. So why would you be concerned about a team that wins football games, much like Marcus says? The only concern is the Raiders. That's it. Nobody else.
Yeah, listen, I'll go to this weekend's game because it's going to be strength on strength. They're playing a Miami Dolphins defense that's like, all right, we're going to play man coverage, and we play it really, really, really well. And they got 2 big, long, physical, athletic corners on the outside. The Chiefs are the greatest team in the history of football, I feel, when it comes to beating man coverage. And all of us go, do not play the Chiefs in man coverage. But then as the defense for the Miami Dolphins, you got to go, okay, well, we got to be who we are. That's what's made us this quick turnaround. So I don't care if it's Robinson. I don't care if it's Sammy Watkins. I don't care if it's Tyreek Hill or Mecole Hardman, Travis. Maybe you should care. But, I think that's going to be the fascinating thing is how Miami decides to play against this offense. In regards to, listen, this is what everyone's going to say. The Chiefs are 0 for 7 in their last 7 red zone trips. Okay, 2 of them are 2-minute drives where they get inside with 5 seconds to go. Naturally, you kick the field goal, right? So that takes 2 of them away. One of them, there's a trick play that's wide open and Travis Kelce misses it. That should be a walk-in touchdown. Then you're going, okay, we're scoring 50%. Another one's a drop. Okay, so everyone that wants to go, oh, they're 0 for 7 when it comes to scoring touchdowns in their last 7 trips in red zone, slow down, okay? They're going to be fine. This football team is going to play in the Super Bowl.
Go, Marcus.
Tyreek Hill done caught so many damn touchdowns, he don't even know when he catch one.
And he doesn't even go to the he don't even go to the red zone ever, right? They score so much outside the red zone. I will say this will be an interesting game this weekend because if the Dolphins can play man coverage and then they're one of the top, I think they're ranked 9th in red zone defense. If they can play man coverage and they stymie them in the red zone, then we can have a different conversation next week.
Yeah, and it is on the road. The Dolphins are 8-4, but according to our Football Power Index, have just a 41% chance to make the playoffs. We're going to throw the Dak Prescott set to be a free agent after this season. Of course, it's certainly slightly more complicated with his ankle injury, but either way, you'd think Dallas would want to hang on to him. Marcus Spears on this show yesterday brought up an interesting point about Dak's future. Take a listen.
Dak Prescott should want out of Dallas. All right, and I've been holding out and saying that. I've been thinking about, well, they did offer him a contract and all of that. Dak Prescott should want to find a new spot to play football. You got a quarterback that we all see now worldwide that was the only living pulse that you had as a football team before he got injured. And the biggest indictment is you don't have a choice now but to look like you look. So Dak should want to go somewhere else.
So, Marcus, you said that yesterday in the heat of a discussion early in our show.
Come on.
You've now had 24 hours to sit on it. Your eyes are bugged out. How do you feel today?
That was my twin brother. I don't know nothing about that. No, listen, I still feel the same way, y'all. And yeah, it is a bit personal for me because I think Dak, like we've talked about so many times, has done literally everything you could possibly do to not only prove on the field that he's a franchise guy, but even off the field. And I just did not like the statement. I did not like even the idea that Jerry brought up with Dak running and not taking hits. That flew me over the top. Els, you know, we can disclose some private conversation. I talked to you about this 2 months ago, and I did not like the way that Dallas had handled Dak Prescott. I didn't feel like they acknowledged the value that Dak Prescott had. And we keep talking about numbers and what they offered him. It was about the years. I want to remind everybody, this was about years for Dak Prescott and his team. That's ultimately what it boiled down to. But when you look at the entire thing, right, and I start thinking to myself, all of the contracts that's been given out, all of the attrition that's happened on this team, a new head coach that doesn't look like he has any direction, I still feel the same way.
Well, there you go. So Marcus has doubled down on that. Before we get Dan and Key involved here, I want to go to Adam on the timeline for Dak Prescott leading into the draft and some of the particulars there when it would come to when he would need to sign a deal, franchise tag, all of that. Update us there.
Well, essentially, Laura, the Dallas Cowboys would have until the first or second week in March to put the franchise tag on him. You would assume that would be the direction they would go if they could not sign him to a long-term deal. And it might be, frankly, as much as Marcus might disagree, in both sides' best interest to try to get a long-term deal done before the Cowboys have to use their franchise tag on him or while they use their franchise tag on him. But if that window comes and goes and they struggle to get a long-term deal, well, now anything and all scenarios come into play, and Dak Prescott becomes the most interesting story of the offseason. Going in, it's probably that way anyway, because if Dallas can't sign him, does Dak force his hand? Is he going to play one more year? Does he tell them I'm not re-signing there? And then they might have to look to trade. There are so many different ways this could go. It's impossible to say how it will go. I would just assume this. Both sides would sit down to try to get a long-term deal done that they have not been able to do up until this point, have spent 2 years trying to get it done. And if and when they couldn't get a long-term deal done, I would think the Dallas Cowboys would put the franchise tag on him. But maybe, hey, they decide to blow the whole thing up and let him walk. Who knows?
Yeah, our producer Mark just said in my ear, March 9th, the franchise tag day there that we should be looking out for. Let's take a look at the projected draft order. Cowboys currently sitting at 4th with a game this weekend against the Bengals, who are 3rd. So that game's got a lot more significance than you might think. How does the 2021 draft play into what the Cowboys could do, Dan?
It's huge because, all right, so they play Cincinnati this week. If they lose to Cincinnati, they become the 3rd pick in the draft, right? They're probably not going to get to 1 or 2, but they become the 3rd pick. Everybody knows there's 3 big quarterbacks coming out of the draft this year. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and then Trey Lance, okay? And so then you're looking at it for the Cowboys organizationally. If you look at the teams that right now are playing good football and have had a run of success with wins and losses with younger quarterbacks, it's the Rams, Philly, Buffalo, Cleveland, Baltimore, KC. They all did it because they had that success after drafting the young quarterback. The financial aspect of it allows you roster flexibility. Dak is not saving the Cowboys. He's not. Your roster's bad. And so if the Cowboys are going to ask Dak Prescott to take an injury clause in his contract, he's going to say no. Then they have to make the decision, okay, are we going to pay him what he wants finally, or do we have to go somewhere else?
You mentioned young. Dak is still young. He's not old.
I agree.
And the only thing
He's 28.
You think about this is the money side of it, right? It's a money play. You talk to your doctors, you talk to your medical staff, and you find out right around March, like Adam said, is he healthy? Can we get a long-term deal in play?
Yeah.
You can tag him and still use that as a security blanket all the way up until draft time. If you decide to let him walk, you let him walk. Only reason why you're going to let him walk is because you don't think he's healthy. It ain't because you can't get a deal done.
No, I mean,
the deal got cut down once he got hurt in the first place. the negotiations started. Now, all of a sudden, Jerry looked at that. He was like,
What?
Oh, okay, it started. I can start playing games and talking, like Marcus said, about running the football, concerns. That started as soon as he got hurt.
Marcus, quickly.
It started as soon as he got hurt, Marcus.
But Key, what you just said, like, we've been talking about this forever.
Yeah, but he's going to use that to his advantage,
that
though.
a deal is getting done. It's been, but the assumption that a deal is getting done has been a year and a half cycle.
At least.
It ain't
Not
been
necessarily
done yet.
getting
Before he was
done,
hurt.
not getting done with Dak, but in Jerry's mind, in Stephen Jones's mind, soon as Dak got hurt, those antennas went up and said, this is a negotiation power for us right now. Now Jerry says what he says. Now Jerry says what he says. Doesn't mean they're not going to get a deal done, though.
Yeah. All right, we've got to leave it there, guys, but this is